Welcome back. This is Holland Webb and Arjun Krishna talking about how we started an e-com business during the pandemic. And we know a lot of other folks have ideas for starting side hustles, and that may include an e-commerce business. If that's your idea, then we wanted to share with you what we've learned kind of in real time or near real time about how to start an e-com business. So we've got 10 brief episodes of audio where we're talking about what we've learned. So today we want to talk about procuring your products. And we originally started this with the title, The Ass Backwards Guide to Procuring Your Product, because that feels like how we did it. But in brief, we started in brief is not meant to be a pun, but I guess it works. We're selling men's loungewear, and we're starting with boxer
really
shorts.
Nice title for the entire thing, for the entire
in brief
series, arguably. Yes. Yeah.
Good point, actually. Yeah. Okay, so we started this. We're procuring, or we're selling men's loungewear. We started with boxer shorts, and we wanted to, get our first product. So I reached out to Arjun, and he contacted somebody in India. And then about a month later, the coronavirus hit. India completely shut down. The U.S. almost shut down, and all kinds of exciting things happened. Do you want to tell the story of what happened from the time that you reached out to that first vendor? And then we can kind of wrap it up.
So Holland and I collaborated on content for quite a while, and when you have this idea of getting into textiles, we thought it was a really natural fit because there's a mature textile manufacturing industry here in India. And I know people, and so why don't we just get this? Why don't we just get the show on the road? And initially, we had that first exploratory call, and we were thinking, well, we should be able to get the first batch produced and sent out in like a month. And well, if it gives you an idea,
a year later,
a year later, we are finally getting that first batch ready to go, and. So yeah, fingers crossed at this point as well. But basically, what happened is that we had that call. I reached out to a vendor here, and we started initial negotiations. And at that point of time, COVID hit, and India went into a complete lockdown. So basically, factories were shut. Interstate transport itself was shut. So even if you had something manufactured, you wouldn't be able to get it to your shipping point. And we sat there, and this basically pushed us back to square one. And we just sat there and we kind of thought about how this is going to impact everything. And at that point, we thought maybe it's kind of an opportunity, and it's kind of hidden opportunity that this has been delayed by a couple of months, because a couple of months into the lockdown, we start seeing work from home pick up, and at that point of time, what guys are really looking for is comfortable loungewear, because you're working your 9 to 5, but you're doing that at home. You're doing that in your chair, and that comfort aspect, and that aspect of being at home and feeling just feeling positive. We thought that good loungewear could really help accentuate that. And so we thought, yeah, let's wait till things get back to normal. And a couple months later, when things started to unlock over here, I reached out to that vendor, and we actually got to the initial prototype stage. But the problem was, at that point, we kind of realized that the quality wasn't up to mark. And but this is another thing when you're dealing with vendors, especially when you're dealing with vendors, for example, in different countries. It's really difficult to actually make that call, because Holland is in the U.S. on the other side of the country. The other side of the planet. I'm in a state called Kerala in India, and the vendor is in a different state, which is 500, 600 miles away. So when you're in this completely remote scenario, as far as quality is concerned, you have to take that there's a huge chain of trust in place there. And when that person says we're going to deliver quality, you have to kind of take that at face value. And that's something that contributed to the bottleneck, because they said, yes, we're going to deliver a quality product, and a month later when you get the you remember what that was like, that initial.
I remember. Well, I think from the first picture, even I said that just looks like something you buy in bulk at a discount retailer, and that's not what we're going for. We were looking for $15, price point, and that wasn't what we were getting. Although we did get some good ideas from that vendor.
Mm-hmm. Could you elaborate on that? Like, what?
Well, I think originally we didn't have the idea of adding pockets. We were just thinking we were thinking more like very modest boxer shorts with, speaking of work from home, you can hear my dog barking in the background. We were thinking very modest boxer shorts with buttons, and that would be super comfortable, but also something you could wear around your family or your roommates without having to put on pants. But then the first vendor created those pockets. We're like, well, we don't like anything else about these shorts, but I like pockets. I like that idea because that turns these from just underwear into loungewear, and makes it something, you can clip your phone onto them, and take it from room to room if you want to, without having, without having to, if you're also trying to juggle a cup and you're also trying to juggle other things, you can just, you got a place to store some stuff. So we like that idea, and that was from that first vendor, even though pretty much everything else I didn't like. I did really.
The irony is the one thing that we didn't ask for from them. Like, the one thing they just randomly decided to do is the thing we liked, and everything else sucked. So to be honest, again, this was a back to square one moment, and I reached out to a different vendor, to a couple different vendors actually. Got that conversation going, and we found another vendor who had specific experience with the U.S. market, and so we thought that might actually help iron things out to a certain extent, because at least they've made some clothes that have gone out for export. And we got a sample from them, and that was a lot more in line with our expectations. And the thing that surprised me the most, and this was one of those areas where we had no guarantee about how it's going to turn out, was in terms of the quality of the material. So apparently they have different terminology over here for the specific weave that they use and the specific blend of cotton polyester, and they have different terminology over in the States. And we had a bit of a communication gap there in terms of like, okay, what are these guys going to offer us? What do we want? And what's that going to turn out like? And we had no idea. But when that first prototype came in, the one thing that stuck out was it was pretty low profile as far as design was concerned. It was very plain and simple, but it was incredibly comfortable. And I think that's because we have a specific high cotton, low polyester blend where there's just enough give to the fabric that it's comfortable without being tight, and it's also breathable. So that was one of those like unintentional things that just happened, but really happy about.
Right. Yeah. Because I think originally we were expecting 97.3, and they came back with 98.2, and it worked out really, really well. So our first takeaway from this was expect unexpected things to happen, whether that's your first vendor doesn't work out or the world shuts down because of a pandemic. And the second takeaway was don't get married to one supplier or even one exact product specification, because first supplier didn't work out for us. And then the first product specification, we got something from that first supplier with the pockets. And then the second one, we got a little bit different blend of materials. One other thing I wanted to add in here is if you are shipping from another country into the U.S., there are several legal requirements, and you need an agent to help you clear customs. You can get an agent for a very affordable fee through Clear It USA. That's CLEARIT USA, clearitusa.com. So I wanted to mention that to you because I didn't know that originally. I don't know. I thought shipped it. Customs agents took a look. Yeah, it is what it says it is. Go for it. But it does have. There's more to it than that. Even if you're selling in small volume like we are. So Clear It USA is something for folks who are maybe thinking about selling a product that they've sourced internationally. So I think my final takeaway for this little clip of our experience in brief is procuring your product is going to take you longer than you thought. In our case, about 10 to 12 times longer than we thought. So,
But I think, to kind of riff off of that, I think the other side of that is that you have to adapt and learn, because you're going to run up against a whole lot more barriers than you would have thought at the beginning. And this is all about persistence, and it's about addressing each challenge as it comes. So you're going to be in for a lot of surprises. You just accept that that's how it's going to be, and just accept that your plan A is not going to work. And have your plan B and plan C kind of there at the back of your head, and just keep going. I think that's the real that's what I would say.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's great. And the next time we're going to be talking about hiring a marketing agency on a shoestring. If you're like us and you don't have a lot of money, but you know that you need a marketing agency because you can't do all this by yourself. What kind of things can you do? Up to and including hiring Facebook ads people, hiring designers, photographers, models, and then hiring people like us who can write content and create podcasts. So.